I'll say welcome to Sunday Night Live, the Armchair Pundits. I'm
Yes.
Finale Norton with Katherine White, and we are so excited to be here because as I watch the pundits on TV, I think it's really interesting to hear, based on the people on the ground, the regular people, what we see and hear and read in the news, what our perspectives are on it. And so there are a couple of things that are on my mind tonight. You talked about them beautifully on Friday, and I want to sort of repeat some of it. We spent a lot of time on Friday talking about the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I
Yes.
really wanted to continue a little bit of that discussion tonight because I have to tell you, I felt an emptiness, and, it wasn't like that I saw him on the news all the time. If there were big things that were happening, I'd see him, but then when he was gone, I just felt a real emptiness, like this icon was gone, and I didn't really feel in my soul that there was anyone at this moment who was replacing the courage, and the ability that he had when he was there in the 70s and 80s and 90s and on. He just wasn't timid. He wasn't afraid. He was just courageous to say and do what he felt had to be done. He wasn't perfect. He had a daughter that he owned right away, and she's part of their family. And no one's perfect. And I think about that because
Mhm.
we look for perfection in people, and we
Yeah.
dismiss people quickly when they're not perfect. And I think he's the perfect example of somebody who was not perfect, but what he brought to this country, the changes that he made in terms of how the Democrats do their primaries and how electors are chosen is pretty significant. I was reading today. I mean, honestly, I had forgotten that he got hostages away. He sat down with all kinds of leaders. We just forgot the kind of man that he was and the empty space that's left now that he's no longer here.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think that is?
You mean that we expect perfection?
No, that that he was forgotten. Like
Well,
Jesse Jackson, for those entering the room, like all these things you said are so true to me. And I have to say, why is that and this is off the cuff, the blind spot. And let me say that when I started this tonight talking to you about my family and at the table and the ravioli and how we've passed this on from my grandparents to my grandparents. Isn't it the same kind of idea? Like, who teaches you this thing? He was under Martin Luther King. He was friends with him, more of a peer, I guess you would say. But this is how, in movements, that when you're teaching people, and it really felt good tonight knowing some of my family members have passed on, right? Like Jesse Jackson, they really hold and model stuff for your family. They teach you the things you need to know. And, those just on the family level, when we talk about our family and the democratic level too, that, you know, we we need to remember people and even in our own family to keep their spirits alive. So I think we should have done a better job with Jesse Jackson. So my thought is, I wonder why he was sort of pushed to the side a little bit. But it seems like even with that said, this was his moment and we should grab it for him.
yeah, I do think it's his moment, and what I think is really important, it does matter how you grow up and who you
Right.
grow up with, and I listened to one of his sons talk about him and how, how people who were celebrities would just drop by the house and stop to see him. He
Right.
was like Earth, Wind& and Fire would stop by, and this person would stop by, and so they sort of grew up with all of that, and I think his 6 children all modeled that. But I
Wow.
also think it's how we talk about leaders, and I don't wanna say that he was forgotten. What I wanna say is I'm not sure who's actually modeling him today. And I do think that it is up to us in terms of our expectations of leaders
Hmm.
and what we expect, and we do expect this form of perfection. I'll also say that during the time when Jesse Jackson was really out there, we didn't have all the internet, inside of
Right.
every person's life, every day, every moment, what they do. And so the way that we sort of hold people to account for whatever mistakes that they've made today, they're so much more visible than they were when Jesse Jackson was at the top of his game, 1984, 1988, when he ran for president. So I think that there's just a lot for us to learn from him. And as I have sort of looked
Right.
at his rise, what I find is that he just was unafraid. He just didn't worry about what people were gonna say or what they thought. He just did what he believed was right, and he did what he believed was right for the people. And what I find today that makes me less happy is it feels like people are so worried about what someone is going to say about what they said. Am I going to, be dismissed or shunned, or am I not going to be able to take the blowback? So therefore, we are very timid in our actions. And I just think that this moment that we're in today calls for boldness and people being unafraid because that's the kind of moment that we're in. That's what I want to say about that.
Yeah, and no, I agree, and I agree with the assessment too. Not so much that he was forgotten, but I think this moment when people passed like he that had such this kind of model, how they modeled their life and that courage that they had. And then you sort of like are also you sort of learn new things. Like you said, he had 6 children. That you said that his son is a congressman?
Yeah, he does. He has 6 children. He has, one Santita, she is a singer, she sung with Rebecca Flack, so she does all kinds of things. He has Yusef and Jonathan, one of which is a congressman. He
Wow.
actually had 2 that were congressmen because
Wow.
Jesse Jackson Jr. was a congressman who's actually gonna run
That's
again,
true.
and then one of the other sons, I think it's Yusef or Jonathan, one of them, one's a lawyer and one's a congressman in Chicago in Illinois. So, I mean, if you just think about the life of his children, it's all pretty spectacular, but that's they were raised by him and his wife.
I have to laugh because I'm getting a notice that your internet's unstable. Mine's unstable. So, folks, just bear with us. It is sleeting and snowing here in Virginia, and it makes us unstable, but we will be here with you regardless the weather. Um, no, I think it's just really interesting and I think it's important, I'll harken back to, like, family members again, that it is really, so important, people like Jesse Jackson or certain people in your life, that you really look at how they lived and realize that you shouldn't be afraid and having that courage, and I so agree with you. It's a kind of a good segue because when we talked about the State of the Union, and we know that coming into Tuesday is gonna be the State of the Union, and folks, Jane, other people, do you got your popcorn ready? I don't know what kind of drinking games will be
Mhm.
happening on Tuesday. I think what we're seeing is there's alternative State of the Union. And I think it was Heather Cox Richardson talking about the history of the State of the Union, that it always wasn't what it is. And people are saying, do we really need this anymore? Because it's become such a polarized thing. It's not like, oh, we're going to hear from the president about this. It's like, no, it's like a sport. We're going to, is he going to go after the Supreme Court on Tuesdays with Trump with his instability? And the hell is he going to say? And you remember last year, wasn't it, with the congressman that they kicked out, um,
Yeah, Congressman Al Green.
Al Green? And then I was so disappointed. Talk about non Kurds, the Democrats that sat there while he got kicked out. I would have been like, you know, people should have been on their feet. But like every year, it's like, what are you going to see this year? So let's talk a little bit of that. I think that would be interesting. So what are you thinking of when you think about the State of the Union, maybe even who's running for president? How do you want to what are your thoughts?
Well, let me go here first, and
Yeah, go
I'll
there.
talk let me go here first, and so, last year, I think for the State of the Union, the Democrats had signs that said, "Lie, lie," they had their little paddles, but
Oh
that's
my God, the
but
paddles.
so listen to
I,
this is what I think about this. So, we had the talk shows who made fun of it, "Oh, the Democrats had paddles," and they made fun of it, and it's like everything that we try to do sometimes, the talk shows make fun of it, understanding that they drive sentiment. So if the
yes,
talk
true.
show has said, "You know what? There's only so much they can do," but if you had paid attention to the signs that they had, they were letting you know when the president was not telling the truth. Imagine what that would have done and what people would have thought about it versus
Right.
them making fun about them having paddles. And I'm
Paddles.
just saying, if they believe that they drive sentiment, if they believe that they drive opinion, if we all know that comedians can break through, then why is it that at moments when they should be trying to hold us up the best they can, that they
Right.
drag us down as much as the other side does? So, with that being said, because, people made fun. They had paddles, they did this. Now, I
Yeah.
personally would have liked that when they kicked out the congressman, that they all would have walked with him. But
Yes.
that didn't happen. But here we are this year, and what are they gonna do? Well, I'm gonna say this. You know how I love my Democrats, and I tell you that. I say I love my Democrats. I'm a proud
Right.
Democrat, but
Right.
we ain't perfect, right? We don't always get it right. So what I would really like to see is a strategic plan where whatever it is planned. That if you say that we're all gonna go, then y'all go. If you say
Right.
we're all gonna stay out, then we all
Y'all,
stay out.
yes.
If you say that we're gonna send this group and they're gonna go with the Epstein victims and they're gonna sit right in the front and that's all that's gonna be there, whatever it is, let it be a plan that you've done strategically. Don't say, I'm going to let them make up their own minds, and those who want to go can go, and those who want to stay can stay. Because then I'm looking at you thinking you don't have a real plan. So all I'm saying is that whatever they do, which based on what I'm hearing now, is not a strategic plan that is well thought out that
Right.
says, you know, Donald Trump, we're giving you the middle finger, or we're showing you that we're in agreement and we're standing together as a party. Just let it be together. Let it not just be this mess that some do this and some do that. Because I'm thinking you don't got a plan. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, a little bit of that coordination would be good, right? Would be definitely, to the paddle thing. I think it just so shows what Democrats are like. They don't want to be rude. Like, so Marjorie Taylor Greene was back there in that white fur coat, if you remember, just screaming, like just like some trash back in the, like some, she was just such trash. And she's sitting in the back yelling at Biden, right? So they don't want to do that. And I understand it. So they want paddles. It's sort of like how we are. We want to make our point. We also want to be, not rude. And so you can really appreciate that. And that I know, as silly as it seems, sometimes you look back on it, and like you're right about the media, be nice if they just concentrated more on the reality going on instead of just covering the thing the way that they do. But it will be really interesting. And because I don't know if folks in the room realize who is going to be the person that's going to do the rebuttal to the Republic, to Trump. And that's going to be Virginia. Virginia's Abigail Spanberger is going to do the rebuttal. What are your thoughts on that when you heard that? What was your first thought?
So I'm very excited about it. There was a whole lot of hoopla. People were like, "Oh, if someone asks anybody to do it, I would tell them don't do it because they laugh at the water, they laugh at this." And those folks that they've laughed at before, they were worth laughing at because it was kind of funny. So you have to be very strategic
Right,
about
right.
how you do that. But I would say that it is a real opportunity for her. I think that she can be really her authentic self, and I think she will say what needs to be said. I hope that it's brave. I hope that it's courageous. I hope that it does not have this conciliatory tone to it because it should not. I think we
No,
should
I'm going to
recognize
tell,
what it
I better not. Right,
yeah, so I think it should be that, and I also think that it's an opportunity to tell people what's really happening. You and I were having this discussion about authoritarianism, which I hear
right.
them talk about a lot on TV. But if you were to ask those folks that you were talking to, you would say, "Hey guys, what does it feel like to live with an authoritarian?" They would just probably say, "What are you talking about?" And so I just wish that when we know that only 40% of people are probably taking in the news and taking in the things that we're seeing, maybe we should describe and be really visceral and visible about what people are actually going through. Maybe we should show more examples of what's happening in this country so that people can understand that living under that kind of rule is terrible. Maybe we should talk to folks. Uh-oh, lost Catherine for a minute. Maybe we should
Yeah.
talk to maybe we should talk to folks about what all of those detention centers are going to be used for after we've deported everybody. So I do think that other than the affordability thing, which is real, it is a thing that we should be really clear about what's ahead for folks so that people can start to pay attention and feel like the stories are worthy enough to be told to their family and their friends and the folks who may not be paying attention. I said a lot, but that's what I'm
Well,
talking about.
yeah, but for looking at this from another political perspective, which is sort of like, who's going to run for president? What does it signal having Abigail do this? We know Gretchen Whitmer did last year, correct? Was she the person? So it was another governor. It was Whitmer that did the rebuttal to Trump last time. She did a pretty good job. I think it was her. At least she had the benefit one time of doing it. This is really interesting. I think a pick. I think politically the Democratic Party is signaling something. Um, so that's what I think too. And I think what we have is the Yes campaign on the line. We did, first of all, New Jersey and Virginia were really big blue wins. So you're gonna hand this off to Abigail Spanberger. This is a big deal. I mean, this is a make or break moment. This is Marco Rubio. Remember Marco Rubio when he did the State of the Union? He tanked it. He fucking
Yeah,
failed it.
it
And
was not a br it was not it was a make it or break it, he was a broke it.
oh, remember was it Katie Britt that did the one that
Another
we
broke it.
actually parodied it on the Friday Power Lunch. It was just like that was scary, scary Carrie when she did the whole rebuttal. When Katie Britt was so weird and Stepford wise. But Virginia, I am really interested because we have the Yes campaign coming up. Well, Virginia's going to deliver what we want to level the playing field. If people are watching, you know what we're trying to do in Virginia. And it is such a big deal. And let me just talk about that for a minute. If it wasn't a big deal in what Virginia is doing, first of all, we went on a limb. We don't normally do that, but our delegation decided to right before the election to go and pass it in the legislature before our election. And then when we won, and we won big, Abigail won, we won, Hashmi won, Jay Jones won Attorney General, and then we flipped 13 seats and we're at 64 House delegates, right? So now we have this really huge win in Virginia and they're giving us the honor. This is kind of a big signal. And I think it just shows kind of where they want to take the nation. So I kind of am excited about that because of it. So I'm on pins and needles hoping that she delivers and on that note, because we're going to deliver the big win to save the nation with the Yes campaign. And Republicans are worried about this or they wouldn't be filing another lawsuit trying to put some sand in the gears.
Yeah,
You know,
I think she's gonna be great. I really do.
yeah,
I just because she just doesn't mess up, and so we're
that's
not gonna
true.
jinx her
But
or
I'm
anything,
talking
but
about the
she
Republicans being scared too. Like the
yeah.
Republicans are scared. We got them in the corner. I want to punch them more.
Well,
Come on.
I always said that we should have went 11-0, but
I
that
know.
again brings us to what we talked about before, and that's that
Right.
courage. That's not being
Yes.
timid, and that is who Louise Lucas is. She is not
Yes,
timid,
she is.
she is courageous. But that's because she knows what it was like in that Jim Crow era. She knows what it was like to have to fight really hard to be seen and to be heard. And that's important. And that's what I think I'm sort of feeling about this whole Jesse Jackson thing is
Yes.
people understanding that in these moments you have to be courageous and that you cannot be timid. We have to go forward and stand up for what we believe, call people out and hold them accountable.
Now I'm going to call somebody out. I was watching some posting against the Yes campaign by Brian Cannon, who ran. I'll just drop names because I am. He led the Virginia 2021, the redistricting plan that we voted on before, and it really made me upset when I saw him posting vote no. And I thought to myself, dude, you're holding so much onto your ego because, what we are trying to learn and talk to people about now is like you just said, Senator Lucas understands Jim Crow, understands what is really happening and the harm and the cruelty and what's coming here and what's coming at us. Here's this guy posting this stuff. Oh, he's holding on to some kind of there's some fantasy land around where we are that we have to vote no on this because this is bad. And I'm thinking to myself, so I'm online and I said to him, I think Brian, you'll be fine in Trump land. You're a white guy. Good for you. But you know what? There's a lot of people that won't. So shut up. Like I was just mad because I'm thinking people need to think more on that bigger picture of where we're at, and we have detention centers being built. We see just the outrageousness, what's happening to journalists. We see it every day. And you had mentioned even with the tariffs and our economy and the instability, and you think about my friend who has a business imports wine is being a 30-year business is being harmed by these tariffs. And Trump doesn't give a shit. Like their family, their livelihood, everything they built because he is a crazy, demented guy who doesn't give a shit about anything. And the Republicans are sitting there letting him do it. So I think we got to call it out when we need to call it out. And I'm just excited that Democrats are fighting back in Virginia and Abigail is going to do the State of the Union. And I hope she gives a few punches.
I hope so too. I want to say something about all of these things that are happening, and that Donald Trump is doing them, but he's doing them because Jen Kiggans, our congresswoman,
Oh,
and all the
right.
other congress people and senators are allowing it to happen. They could stop at any time, and so not only that, you can look at your friends and neighbors, and this is what I say when you're walking around and your friends and neighbors and they say, "Oh, the weather is something," but they never ever say a word about what's happening in the world, you
Yeah,
know they're Republicans and you
correct.
understand that they are okay with what's happening.
That's
And
so
again,
true. Mm.
they're only okay until something happens to them. But they're not part of the hundreds of thousands of Black women who've lost their jobs because of what Doge did.
Right,
They're not part of
right,
the people who worry about their SNAP benefits. They're not part of the people who have home health care and services are being taken away. They're not part of the people who want to make sure that, I'm going to get my veterans benefits or
right.
I'm going to the hospital doctor. They don't care about any of those things. They don't care about the daily things that just everyday Americans worry about and think about. And you just have to wonder about that. And so until we can bring these things to people where they can see it and feel it, understand it, that they are not safe in this environment. Today, people are just shopping and going on vacations and celebrating like nothing is happening here. But there is a whole bunch of ugly happening. And until they start to see it and feel it, which is what my woman says, make injustices public until they see it and feel it and understand it, they're still going to be doing the same old, same old. And it's our job to make sure that we tell people about it every single day.
Well, I'm gonna say the tariffs, I think, have exposed a really other weakness that, like, when I say that we have Trump on the ropes, and we have a couple more years of this, folks. So as much as I get optimistic, it is one day at a time, truthfully, and one positive thing at a time, and we understand that it's gonna be a long road. So all these good things, all these things that are happening that are important, but it's a lot to take. We only have really a year to the House election, and if we can seal that, that really makes our road back where we're going. It's going to take a long time. But with that said, the tariff with the Supreme Court over
That's
it
good.
I'm sorry, I'm back again. I think it exposes Trump on another flank. What are your thoughts about that?
I do. What's really interesting about the terrorists, I think, is the notion of how he's talking about the Supreme Court justices. And the thing is that I mean, I think all of us have the notion that Supreme Court justices are supposed to be people who are not left or right or center. They are just truth tellers in terms of what the
Yeah.
Constitution says in terms of right and wrong. But we have just completely lost that. But now that we have the notion that three of them did not side with him and he is just going after them and their families, I'm hoping that that will wake up some people. So I think that that was good for us, for the American people to see how he treats people once you do something that he doesn't agree with. And so imagine that those are Supreme Court justices. Imagine you just as a regular American. He hadn't cared two peas about you. So I think that this is going to sort of light a fire for people to
Right.
see. And it maybe at some point, maybe somewhere, the 77 million people will understand that a tariff really is a tax that you pay. I don't know what it's going to take for them to understand that, but maybe, just maybe now they'll understand. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to say the signal for people paying attention on the level of the Supreme Court, and I apologize. I know my internet with the snow is coming down and my internet's on a telephone pole out there. Anyways, um, is that Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh voted with Alito and what's his name?
Uh, Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas. Sorry, I just thought about his wife Ginny. I'm like, what's his name? I always think about Ginny Thomas. And yeah, who'd want to have dinner with her? Anyways, um, so Kavanaugh really showed his colors. First of all, we all knew he was not the best. He had low grades. And all the people that wrote those letters in saying, don't put him in because he was low grade. And, what that showed is that we had three justices that ignored the Constitution. It should have been 9-0, but it wasn't. And that should say a lot. And when Kavanaugh showed his colors, folks, I think it showed me that he's not a serious person. He also is part of this problem, and he should have never been put in. And going all the way back to that, I was like, what a disaster. He is a disaster person. He is probably like, again, just so low bar because this is constitutional when they said what a tax is and what Congress is supposed to do. So that it was really telling to me. Also on the bigger level of people making economic, sorry,
So,
people that
Catherine,
are, I know. So people are above us in this world, the big tech guys and all these people that count on America and where they want to invest. People are losing faith in Trump. And I think that again exposes him. And I will stop because I know I must be annoying. I so apologize about my internet, but go ahead.
It's okay. It would usually be me, but we have, like, 3 minutes left, and
Go
so
ahead, you take it.
I wanted us to do something fun.
Okay.
'Cause I saw it today, and I think that it's only right that we should have a say too. And I also wanna say hello to Lauren Burke. I see that she's out there, because I use her Black Virginia News to always keep me up to date on how many days it is to the election and to all of the things that are important. But what I wanna say is I saw something today about who is gonna be, you know, the top tier running for president. And so since that's so far away, I thought that we should do that. So they had a poll, and the poll said that Gavin Newsom was first. And
Yep.
then, Kamala Harris was next, and then
Well,
it was Pete Buttigieg maybe, and then it was AOC, and then the rest didn't know. So out of those, and they said the question that they asked them was, did they think that Gavin Newsom would be at the top when it got closer to the end? And they all said no. They all said that he would not, be at the top, that it would be someone else. So what do you think?
I think it's well, as much
And tell
I think
and those of you who are out here on the chat, I want you to tell me who you think. So
yeah,
Gavin
let's
Newsom,
uh
Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC. So I want you guys to tell me who you think is gonna be at the top by the time it's time to start thinking about president, who's gonna be at the top. So I'm gonna be looking to see who you're gonna say.
give people a second. I'm really interested to see
So
what
I'll say
people
it
put in
again.
there.
So Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, and if there's somebody else, you can say somebody else because I think JB Pritzker is probably gonna be a good one too sometime. So I'm waiting to see what you guys are writing in. Okay, let's see. I don't see any. Come on, guys. Who?
They're probably not looking at their chat.
I'm looking at their chat to see. But so they don't. Oh, okay. Somebody says Kamala Harris. Let's see. I only see Kamala Harris. Andy Bashir from Kentucky. Oh, I hadn't thought about him.
I
Okay.
think Andy's I would say so my feeling is this with the chat people, it's
Yep. So Gavin, someone says Gavin. Okay, that's good. All right. So I'm gonna take it away. Catherine, did you want to say yours?
yeah, if you can hear me, I don't think it's any of the 3. I think Gavin's gonna be the big fighter in there, but I think it's gonna be an unknown kinda coming in there, kind of like an Abigail Spanberger, but not Abigail, but somebody on the outside's coming up. That's my feeling. And
Okay.
I like the
All right. Good.
Kentucky
Good.
thing.
Well,
I like Bashir. I think that's
yeah,
a good
I like Andy Bashir too. I like Andy Bashir.
Mhm.
We're at our time, so I'm not going to tell you then who I'm thinking about. So everybody knows if you watch the Power Lunch that I love Gavin Newsom. So I'm just going to tell you that. But I don't know that it will be him, but he will certainly be close. He is not giving up. If you just think about all the things that have been happening over the last year, who has been the one person standing up the most to Trump, and it's been Gavin Newsom. So I want to give him all the kudos for being courageous and doing that, stepping out, doing different things. I mean, you just somebody had to do something, and he's the one doing something. He's the one who's not being timid. He's
Okay,
the
let
one
me
who's
throw
being
down
courageous.
something real quick. Let Ro Khanna.
No,
No, Rokon is he's been
no,
Rokon is a fighter, but he will not make it up there, but he is somebody that will punch on the stage, and I like Rokana.
good. But we need punchers. We need everybody to punch. So I just want to say
Okay.
thank you guys for joining us tonight. We love coming here on Sunday nights. Catherine wants to start having guests, but I just want to hear us talk so that we can fuss
No,
about
no,
stuff.
I
But
want
we'll
no, wait. During the week, I think it'd be great if we did some one-on-ones during the week, not on our Sunday. I'm okay Sunday, you and I, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna send some ravioli down to you, okay? Some
I sent
ravioli.
some ravioli. Guys, thank you so much for joining
Bye,
us tonight.
everybody.
We'll see you on Friday.
Bye-bye. Make sure you end it. It's on your side tonight.